So we're going to hear from someone now in Wiltshire, Paul Hawkins. Paul, good evening, welcome. Good to have you with
Hi
us.
Wes, how are you?
I'm great. I've got a feeling, I might be wrong. This might be your big night in debut. I'm not sure.
It is.
Because you're one of those guys that likes to stay kind of slightly on the
Another
outside.
income.
I know you support your
No.
team, you run a local buzz and all that kind of stuff, but you have generally stayed a little bit on the outside. Now, you're someone who had a job and a career that would have actually afforded you a pension that many people would have envied, wouldn't you? So tell us what your background is.
Yeah, absolutely, Wes. So, good evening, everyone. So I was a police officer for 30 years. I joined the police at the age of 19 in 2000, in 1987, fledgling 19-year-old. And I rose through the ranks to the rank of inspector, and I retired from the police in 2017. And as you say, it's probably one of the best pensions out there. It's changed slightly now since I left. The goalposts have changed. So my career was a 30-year career with a full pension
Mm.
from the moment I left. So yeah, very good.
And so that would have afforded when you were leaving the police and you had a very senior rank, so you would have probably had a pretty incredible pension. When you were leaving the police, you would have been at an age, I guess, I'm gonna guess, was it like 50 or something?
49, yeah.
49, where that pension probably would have allowed you to not have to work if you didn't want to, or not
Um,
work too much.
yeah, not too much. Well, I always tell my story. So basically, to get me to the same level of income that I was earning in the police from my pension, I needed about 800 to £1,000 a month extra.
Yeah.
And one of my goals when I set out with UW was if I could earn that in residual income, I'd never have to go back to work again. And that stems back to a decision I made when my mum passed away, age 58, that I never wanted to work for someone else again when I retired from the police. Unfortunately, this business enabled me to do that. And I've never worked a day since the age of 49.
Mm. So you are now a senior group leader, at least 1 star, maybe more, 2 star. So you're well on track for national group leader. And I just want to point out that the fascinating thing about this is when I say that to you, or to everyone listening, that Paul is very close, on his way to national group leader, and there'll be people here watching this that have never seen Paul before, because as I said before, Paul doesn't show up to do stuff on the stage and stuff. Like, Paul is happier kind of supporting from the side. And hopefully that just shows that you can build a very significant business and income without necessarily having to be at the front of the room if that doesn't suit your personality. Um, so you're senior group leader 2 star, so you've got a pretty significant residual income coming in. How does that compare to the police pension, if I may ask?
So a lot of people think, if I can just go back to the pension, a lot of people think, yeah, it's great, you got a police pension, it's fantastic. But what a lot of people don't appreciate is that we paid in between 11 and 14% when I left the police, which is a significant amount of your pension. Sorry, of your income. When I left, I was paying in £630 a month. So, a large amount of money that most people wouldn't be willing to pay into a pension. And obviously that just came straight out of my wages. Now, I've just looked at my P60 this evening, and what I earned at 2024, 2025 pay year was 34,000 in my police pension. And I don't mind sharing my income with you and stuff like that. So that's what I earned from my police pension. And I earn significantly more than that from the residual income I earn from UW.
That's amazing. So the police pension that it took you 30 or 30
30 years.
to build, paying in the end £630 a month of your income that you never even got to see, you've overtaken that in residual income from UW in, I don't know how many years. Is it 10 years now?
Well, I've been in 17 years, but discount the first two because, like a lot of people's stories, I didn't do anything. I introduced just 7 customers and no partners in my first 2 years. Then, obviously, if you recall, the police stopped us for a year whilst they investigated UW and found us to be a legitimate business and company, so we were allowed to carry on with it. So take away 3 years, so 14 years, very part-time hours, 5 to 10 hours a week, to build a residual income that pays me more now than that 30-year full-time, 40 hours a week pension.
Hmm. That's an incredibly good, I think, example there of what's possible. Like you say, the first couple of years you didn't do anything but get 7 customers in 2 years. So again, hopefully some people might get some heart from that. You had a year out enforced because, as you said, the police service, or certainly some areas, were not overly happy about police becoming UW partners. That was overcome and proved beyond doubt that they shouldn't have a problem with that. So yeah, really amazing stuff. What would be your kind of thought or advice to people listening in right now who want to emulate what you've done over the next 5, 10, 12 years?
I always say, is your job going to give you what you joined utility warehouse for? So residual income, time freedom, financial freedom, whatever. And if it's not, then UW has to be your plan A. A lot of people think of this as a plan B, and it can't be a plan B if it's not going to deliver what you want UW to deliver. So this has to be your plan A, which means you have to have it at the forefront of your mind 24/7. When I ask people, what is it you think about when you approach and speak to people, you're talking about the weather or whatever is, when I speak to someone, I'm thinking about how can I get this person into my business, and not actually necessarily talking to them there and then about it, or being sick all over them, as we say, but forming the questions we use to form people to, elicit information that we can use later on, maybe to attract them to our proposition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson as well about the patience. Sometimes, as you say, you don't need to be sick on people straight away. You don't need to start talking about gas bills straight away. You can have conversations with people, learn a bit
Absolutely.
about them, which then sets you up for a future conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing is, well, if you recall, in 2008, when I got started with UW, in my first year, two of my commission statements were 85p and 89p, two monthly statements. I never earned £250 for the 3 years. So, you're earning £250 up front now. Those of us who saw residual income, and we weren't interested too much in the larger upfront income. We got a maximum of £20. For 3 services back then, we were just paid £10. And how many of you, I'll ask the question, how many of you would still be in this business if you were only getting paid £10 for a customer sign up for 3 service homeowner and getting 85p a month in commission? But you have to see the larger long-term goal, as Wes said right at the very beginning. It's about what this business can do for you over 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good point you make about plan A's and plan B's. Of course, we're not saying to people don't have a job. I mean, you had a job at the same
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's not about not having a job, but it's about having that mindset, which is that UW is the plan A, because that's going to give you what you want. That's going to give you the chance to walk away, to be on the beach when you want to travel when you want, to go on cruises when you want, to sort out your kids' education and grandkids, and all that other stuff. The job probably not going to do that. And so yeah, it's that switch in your head, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a mindset shift. And I think one of the bigger things for me, you mentioned it earlier on, is team building. That's where the bigger incomes are, guys. So if you really want to be what I call successful and go through the stairway to success up to the higher levels, then you have to be thinking team building. And so I switched my mindset very early on to when I approach people, I don't really generally talk about services now. I approach people about the business opportunity. Those people generally become customers of yours anyway. So you're still gathering customers, and it all depends on, whether you need the upfront income now or not. And if you don't need the upfront income, the other option is to switch out of upfront income. So you go straight to residual income building. So and build that more quickly.
Yeah, which is, people may not be aware, that is an option. If you don't need the upfront income, if you're well, if your day job is taking care of you, then you do have that option to say, give me a much smaller upfront, might be up to £50, and give me full residual income from day one. And that's something you can contact partner services about and switch if you choose, if that's right for your lifestyle. So good. Paul, thank you very much for joining us. Great big night in debut.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.